The scene began in the stillness of early morning, when sunlight had only just started to filter through the trees of a quiet forest. Birds were waking, leaves were stirring, and the calm atmosphere gave no warning of the chaos that was about to unfold. Deep in the woods, a tiny baby deer wandered near a cluster of flowering bushes, curious and unaware of the danger nearby. At the same time, a young panda, still playful and clumsy, was exploring the forest floor, sniffing at fallen branches and rolling in the leaves. Neither of them noticed that hidden among the trees was a large beehive, full of bees that had grown unusually aggressive after being disturbed by strong winds the night before. All it took was one small movement, one accidental brush against a branch, for the bees to erupt from the hive in a furious swarm. The baby deer was the first to react, letting out a soft, frightened cry as the swarm buzzed angrily around it. The panda, startled by the sudden noise, tried to run, but its movements only made the bees angrier. Both young animals began to panic, darting in confused circles as the air filled with the loud, angry hum of wings. The forest, once peaceful, now trembled with their cries and the relentless buzzing of the bees. The swarm was too large, too fast, and too aggressive for the baby animals to escape on their own. They stumbled as they tried to flee, their small legs shaky and their breaths coming in terrified gasps. It seemed as though the situation was hopeless. Unseen by the deer and panda, a troop of monkeys had been watching the scene from the treetops above. These monkeys were known for their intelligence and strong social bonds, always alert and ready to protect one another. When they heard the distressed cries of the baby animals, several of them leapt closer to investigate. They quickly understood what was happening. The monkeys recognized that the deer and panda were too small to defend themselves against such an attack. Without hesitation, the troop sprang into action, moving with speed and coordination that came from living their whole lives in a tightly connected group. One of the older monkeys, clearly the leader, signaled to the others, and the troop split into two teams. Some monkeys began shaking branches at a distance to distract the bees, drawing part of the swarm away from the frightened animals. Others moved down closer to the ground, approaching the deer and panda carefully and without sudden movements. The monkeys stayed calm, knowing that panic would only make things worse. Slowly, they guided the shaking, terrified creatures toward a clearing where the bees would be less likely to follow. Their movements were gentle but confident, showing a remarkable understanding of how to handle the situation. As the deer and panda reached the clearing, several monkeys fanned out around them, creating a barrier and waving leafy branches to keep the bees from returning. The distraction worked. Little by little, the furious swarm thinned out, many of the bees drifting back toward their damaged hive once they realized the threat had moved away. The forest began to quiet again, and the loud buzzing softened into the usual background hum. The baby deer collapsed onto its legs, exhausted but safe, while the panda curled up against a tree trunk, breathing hard but no longer in danger. The monkeys stayed with them until they were sure the bees would not return. A few of the younger monkeys approached the frightened animals gently, touching them with quick, reassuring gestures. Even though the deer and panda were from completely different species, the monkeys treated them with the same care they would show one of their own. With time to regain their strength, the baby deer slowly stood again, and the young panda lifted its head, calmer now. Before leaving, the monkeys guided them farther away from the hive, ensuring they would not wander back into danger. When it was finally safe, the troop slipped back into the trees, disappearing as quietly as they had arrived. The deer and panda watched them go, still trembling but clearly grateful in their own way. In the space of just a few minutes, the forest had shown both its danger and its kindness. What could have become a tragic moment instead became a surprising act of interspecies rescue, a reminder of how remarkable and compassionate the animal world can be when life hangs in the balance.